What is up? Gear Squad, Chain Gear here, bringing you the video, and today we are back with something that you probably have not seen me do in like years, like literally like 3-4 years. We're doing an interview, which I'm very excited for. If you guys don't know, I'm like a recruiter, like IRL, like this is what I do outside of gaming. So it's really cool to actually be interviewing someone that I would call a friend of mine, that we've worked together a little bit before when it comes to gaming, streaming, content creation. So I wanted to bring you guys a streamer, a content creator, a friend of mine, SteveTheChimp. You guys might recognize him because we did do a podcast in the past. It was a little while back. It was called Roco Radio. We both really liked it. We both loved it. It was fun, but we both just don't really play Rogue Company like that anymore. Like, it's still a fun game. Don't get me wrong. Like, if people play it, it's awesome. I do have fun with it from time to time. I jump in, check out the new season 4. Season 4 just dropped, so you know, stuff like that. But we were like, yeah, I think we're gonna move on to other games. So it kind of was what it was. But first of all, I just want to pause and introduce Steve. Steve, thank you so much for joining. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Obviously, like you said, our first venture together was that Roco Radio.
That's right.
Unfortunately, like you said, we stopped playing, and apparently a lot of other people did as well. I actually still have a friend from high school, though, that I check when I hop on my PlayStation. He plays it every day with his buddies. So
okay,
there is a niche crowd out there, apparently. He started playing because he was watching our podcast, and he fell in love with it, and he hasn't stopped.
I like that. I'm not, you know, I'm honestly not surprised. Like, not to like stay on the topic of Rogue Company, like no offense,
sure,
you know, to Rogue Company, but like they, like Hi-Rez does that. Like Hi-Rez makes games that are just kind of like little pocket communities. Like, I think Smite is probably their largest community. You know, if you guys don't know Smite, it's a huge MOBA that is like third person and not like bird's eye view. It's more like action oriented. That's probably their biggest community. But they have a game called Paladins that they've been running Paladins for years, and they constantly come out with new content. So we know people are buying skins because they keep making them. And then that's the same for Rogue Company. Rogue Company's on season 4 now. And, you know, I don't know if they really have, they're doing a tournament thing now too. Did you see that, Steve?
No, Dude, I didn't even know they were on season 4.
Oh yeah, they're on season 4. They've got a brand new tournament, which was crazy because you know how they were running tournaments before. A couple people were like, you know, community managed tournaments. One of the like big tournament organizers kind of dropped. He's like, look guys, I've been doing this forever and it's just not really worth it anymore. And then right after they were like, hey, we're doing a Rogue Company invitational. And I was like, oh my god. So
this is by them, it's not by
this is by Hi-Rez or by the whatever the like subsidiary under Hi-Rez is. But yeah, so Rogue Company's doing this thing. But that's how Steve and I met. And I'll be honest with you guys, like whenever I meet somebody and I start talking to them and they're like, oh, I'm a streamer or whatnot, like, I'm usually just like, okay, cool, like, do your thing, and that is what it is. But I was jumping around Twitch, saw Steve streaming Rogue Company, and I was like, this guy's kind of fun. Like, and I really don't watch that many streamers, I promise you. I watch like 2, 3, maybe 4 streamers, and Steve's one of them. Like, Steve knows I'll be in the middle of work, and I'll see Steve streaming, and I'll jump in, I'll be like, what's up, man? I'm just working, but I just wanted some company, and like, Steve's fun enough and like worth just having up. Or if I'm cooking, you probably don't even know this, but if I'm like making dinner or something, I will just throw Steve up onto my TV and just like keep doing what I'm doing because I think you're entertaining. And that's obviously why I wanted to work with you in the first place with the Roco Radio. So that's really the big reason why I wanted to bring Steve in. We're really going to have an interview today about Steve being a you know, smaller, growing streamer and content creator. And the biggest part of that is that he's part-time, right? Which I think the majority of us streamers and content creators, and if viewers, if you guys don't know, like the majority of us are like straight up part-time and we're not getting paid for this stuff yet, right? Like, you know, it's very rare for somebody who's at the like our sizes, you know, to make money. I remember when I was running tournaments for Blacklight, people would be like, man, like, you're so lucky that this is your job. And I'm like, this is not my job. You know, like I do this on the weekends and I really wish I could. And that's the goal, right? But we're all doing this part-time. So again, thank you so much, Steve. Glad you're here. You ready to just jump into the interview?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to say that I didn't know I was one of few for you. So I appreciate you saying that. And that's awesome.
Yeah, that's the truth. I think that's for a lot of people, right? They might have like a handful of streamers that they like check in on every once in a while, but they don't like interact in chat and things like that. Like for me, like I constantly am just deleting people off because I'm like, it's not important. And I constantly go back to your streams because I mentioned to you the other day in your stream, I don't even care about any of the games that you play. I don't play Siege, I don't play Valorant, but I'm just chilling because I just like your content and I like the way that you play games too and the way that you interact with us during it. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that too. So we're going to jump into your style as well. All right, let's jump into the interview. I've got a quick softball, couple questions for you to just kind of warm us up here. Number one is, what are you playing right now? Like, what are you playing on stream? And, if I was to check your Steam library, like, what are the top 3 games that you're just playing by yourself?
That's actually, usually that's a really easy question, but right now it's very difficult. I'm playing anything that my viewers want me to play at the moment because I am not happy with the state of games right now. There's nothing clicking. My main game for a while was Siege, and I grew a lot of on TikTok with Siege. I got to like 35,000 followers. I wish viewers
Nice.
with Siege alone. But that game is definitely on its way out. I think everyone's seeing it. There's a lot of content creators leaving as well. I've pretty much left. I still stream it from time to time because I know my viewers still play and they still enjoy to watch me. But I'm trying to find that next thing, that next game that's going to, do well numbers wise and that I would actually enjoy making content for. I went to Apex when I saw Siege was starting to die and I got into it for a while. But the problem was as much as I enjoyed playing it, I couldn't brainstorm content ideas. I couldn't figure out what videos to make. I was like, oh, maybe I make a tips and tricks for Octane. And I'm like, hasn't that been done to death already? I don't know. I couldn't really think of video ideas. So then I moved from that over to Dead by Daylight. Because that has a pretty, I was actually really surprised by this. It actually has a really good viewer base on Twitch. It's got it's always sitting around the 30 to 40,000 viewer mark, which is pretty good. It's usually in the top 4 rows of Twitch. I didn't know that. I thought that game died a long time ago because I just played it for fun like 3 years ago. And I was like, okay, that's a interesting, cool game. I play that on Halloween every year.
Right.
But for that, it was kind of a mix of Apex problem where I couldn't really think of what to make. And then when I did, I just felt like it felt like a game I had to play a lot more of before I could be a tips and I guess I'm on tips and tricks. I like to make tips and tricks videos. That's why I made for Siege. And it's hard to do that with certain games like Dead by Daylight that's been out for years and years, and there's already plenty of way better sources than me. So I don't know. I've heard this. What is it? It's imposter syndrome. I was feeling imposter syndrome.
Yes.
With Dead by Daylight, and I was like, it just kind of turned me off from making tips videos for that. But I streamed it for a while because my viewers did enjoy it, and now I'm playing Valorant and Apex off and on. Waiting on Battlefield. Battlefield is very exciting for me. This might age well or not age well. I don't know. But, it's very exciting. I'm excited for Hazard Zone specifically. I don't think Conquest, the normal Battlefield, large scale multiplayer mode, I don't think that will ever do well on Twitch. I just think not enough stakes. It can be good for like funny moments and stuff for YouTube videos, but live streaming, I don't think you really care to watch a game of Conquest.
Yeah.
But Hazard Zone, for those that don't know, it's like I've heard Tarkov, Hunt Showdown, and a BR kind of mixed and mashed together in Battlefield. And that comes out on this Friday, and I'm going to pour my heart and soul into content and streaming it for at least the first month, maybe the first 2 months, and see how well it does. And I'm really hoping it does at least decent because I'm just looking for something to dive into like I did with Siege, and there's been nothing out there. And the things that are out there are just, there's too many way better people and way more educated people than me. But this is a brand new game, so I'm hoping I could be in the front line of this one. But that's what I've been playing.
Yeah, that's a great answer. I mean, you've also opened up a couple of different discussion topics there. I have to dive into imposter syndrome here because for me, I jumped from Blacklight, a tiny game, smaller than Rogue Company, right? And that's what started me streaming. I mean, I was in college. You know, I'm 28 now, and I was I don't know, 20 maybe when I started doing like streaming and stuff. And when I was on YouTube, I think my first video ever on a separate channel, so you can't find it now, was like a infamous Second Son video where I was just like, this game's awesome, and like that was my content, right? And then like as you start to go, like I found my voice, you know, I found ChaingearGaming really in streaming and you know, making videos based off of builds and tournaments in Blacklight Retribution. And like there was no imposter syndrome because this was my game. You know what I mean? Small community, my game. I was like, I know every single weapon, I know every single player, I know every single build. I'm gonna teach these people what's up. Then Blacklight kind of died off and I was kind of over it. I've been playing it for years, literally years. And I jumped into like Destiny. But when you jump into Destiny, that pool, I mean, literally one of the top creators on Twitch is a Destiny streamer who speedruns the game basically. And I'm sitting there like, oh, wow. I mean, this is impossible. There's no way I'm going to be able to, you know, catch up here. So the imposter syndrome is really intense, for sure. I definitely have questions about that. But I did want to throw a couple more softballs at you first, just so people can get to know you a little bit better around gaming in general. When did you start gaming? Were you gaming like back when you were a kid or high school or what?
Diapers.
Diapers, sure. Okay.
Yeah, there's videos and pictures of my dad with me in diapers, and I'm sitting on his lap playing Dreamcast.
I love it. So
I've definitely been playing for as long as I can remember. Like I said, yeah, I think my first consoles I ever played on was the Sega Dreamcast and PlayStation 1. So however old those are is how old my gaming history is.
Wow.
I'm 25, so yeah, that's majority of my life.
Yeah.
By far. And I didn't start streaming until I think it was summer of last year. I think it was in the middle of quarantine, and I was like, I have nothing to do. I've always wanted to see if I'm good at this. I'm going to try it out. So I'm a little over a year, and I have to say, as much as I'm, you know, a little saddened by my size currently, because I'm definitely very, very, very small still. Based off what other people have told me that's been in the scene for a lot longer than me, apparently in just 1 year, I'm doing pretty okay.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I've been gaming all my life.
I mean, even if you look back at like my growth, I'm at 1.7K subs on YouTube.
Nice.
And you're at like 700 something, I think, on YouTube. And this is YouTube alone, right? I'm just talking about YouTube. And I've been streaming and I have been creating content for years, Steve. Like I've been streaming for at least 3 times the amount of time that you have. So like you are on a great trajectory. Okay, like even if you get another 700 next year and then another 700 next year, you've already gotten to where I am in less time than I've been making content, right? And that's not how it works. We know it doesn't work that way. We know it doesn't go 700, 700, 700. You know, it's like ebbs and flows, like literally no one, literally everyone, you know, like, so who knows, but you are definitely, I think you're doing a great job. I think your stream has always got people in it, you know, which like, I think I know how hard it is to stream to 0, you know, like, you know, there's nobody there and you're just trying to keep up the energy for when someone does.
Dude.
Yeah. We've all been there.
I was streaming Warzone in the beginning and there was never a day where I had anyone in the chat in those Warzone streams. And I remember always telling myself, if I could have at least have 2 active chatters or even 1 active chatter, it'd make this so much more fun. And I try on days where the numbers are looking a little lower than usual. I try to remember, hey man, you used to have no one in here. At least you have people talking to you now. So yeah, it is a big game changer when you have an active chat. Yeah, that's for sure.
And those are those people who are going to be with you like forever, right?
Oh yeah.
Like I know, you know, just quick, like huge shout out to Roman. If you guys know Roman, or Softest Kill, like he's been around my chat for literally since I've started basically. And like he'll come in randomly and pop off with like 20 gifted subs because he just wants people to view me probably more than I want it, frankly. And you know, like he's like everybody here, take a sub, like stay around. And I'm like, wow, man, like that kind of frankly loyalty is like really awesome. Yeah, those people that are in your chat now, you know, who are constantly there, they'll be there for a minute. So that's always awesome.
And it's surreal when that stuff happens, the gifted subs things, because you never really feel like you're worth
imposter syndrome
from that person, you know?
Right.
Yeah, I had a guy last month, which this is not normal. This was the first time it's ever happened. Just to put that out there. He gifted 100.
Oh my God.
And I remember that entire week following, like at the grocery store, working out, doing schoolwork. I'm just thinking, I was not worth 100 subs.
And that's hundreds of dollars, right? Like, that's hundreds of dollars.
It's well over $500.
Right.
And I'm like, I hope this guy's balling, because you feel guilty. It's like, hey man, no, can you refund that? I mean,
and you watch big streamers and their reactions are way different, right? They're like, oh, thanks man for the 100K, 100 subs, we appreciate it. Yeah. All right, guys, we gotta get this dub, and you're like, dude, like, give it to me.
Yeah, I've talked to my buddies about that before. I've been like, hey man, I really hope, and I try to, you know, always think about this, but I really hope if I do make it, at least to not even like, you know, Tim the Tap Man, Nick Merckx, not that level. If I can make it to a point, if I can make it to a point where I'm like, you know, like 1,000 viewers most of the time, definitely full-time amount of viewers.
Yeah.
If I can make it to ever be that big, I hope I never get, you know, I never treat that nonchalant. Like, I always want to get hype and yell about, because even right now, I don't know. You watch a lot, but you know, I get really hype every time there's even a follow. I'll be like, oh, and I hope to always keep that energy around. But I could see people getting numb to it when they're so big, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's this sweet spot of like when you're getting the high double digits and like low hundreds of constant followers, because you're making money at that point, right? If you have double digits constant and 100 to 200 viewers, you're definitely making money. You're definitely getting sponsors. Any other content you make will get enough views on it for people to kind of care. And that, I think, is that beautiful point where you're still excited about, you know, subs, follows. You still even care about the follows, where a lot of these huge content creators are like, they don't look at the follows, follower only chats, you know, they're just like, which I don't blame them. At some point it's too big, right? You can't even,
it would be constant,
right?
You would never
can't
have alerts,
care
not on
until
the screen.
people are paying.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anyway, so you've been streaming, I almost said you've been streaming since you were a baby. You've been gaming.
I wish I might be bigger.
I know, right? You've been gaming since you were a baby, which is awesome. What were some of the first games that you played that you just like were like, oh man, this game is great, that you can recall at least?
I know I played a lot of Spyro.
Nice. Okay. Spyro the Dragon.
Big Sonic guy.
Yes, me too.
I remember there's this game, The Grinch on Sega. I played that a lot.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, Crazy Taxi.
Yes.
Played that a lot. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. SSX Tricky. Those are the most nostalgic games.
Let's go. Dude, Crazy Taxi, SSX Tricky. I played that on GameCube, I believe. But it was on other consoles too. But that great choices. Great choices.
Yeah. Oh, and Pac-Man, the 3D version.
Okay. Yeah.
Like the open world Pac-Man.
Yeah.
Those are probably my most nostalgic games I could think of right now.
Okay.
But yeah.
Those were good choices. I agreed with all of them.
I think my dad probably chose them, but he did good.
Okay, fair enough. When did you realize that you were a gamer? Because there's a difference, you know what I mean? When you're like playing games as a kid on maybe the computer or like some NES or Genesis, like you had mentioned, and then being like, "Oh no, I'm a gamer." Like,
I am a gamer. Yeah. It would have to probably be middle school, right?
Okay.
Because that's around the time you're making social circles or you're figuring out social circles and you're making your own friends and.
Sure.
And I had I got lucky through all of middle school and high school. I had this close group of like 5 to 10 friends that I was constantly hanging out with, going through things with, nerding out on movies and whatever. But I realized I was a gamer probably around the time that I really got into multiplayer games, which is why I stream them now. I remember early high school, I got really into Battlefield 3 with my buddies. I'd play that every day when I got home from school. Call of Duty, obviously everyone's been down that path. Black Ops 1 and MW2. So it was around the time that I realized how much I enjoy the fact that I can go home and and this is before we could drive, you know, without driving or, you know, asking my parents to drive me somewhere, I could hang out with all of my buddies online in a virtual world where we could do almost anything
right.
that we wanted to do. And when I realized how special that was, I've been hooked ever since. That's why I'll play single player games here and there with my girlfriend out in the living room. We'll get on the couch and hang out like we've been playing the new Guardians of the Galaxy game.
Nice. I've heard that's actually pretty good.
It's not bad. I'd give it like an 8. It's like it didn't blow me away, but it's really fun.
Yeah, I mean, 8's pretty good. Funny. I mean, better than a 7. I think people were like, "Oh, it's at the most it's going to be average," but it sounds like it's even better than that.
Yeah, the gameplay is a little bit boring and tedious at times. The combat, I mean.
Yeah.
But the story itself and the characters and the dialogue is like pretty on par with like the movies. Like it's really funny and they're always bantering. But yeah, multiplayer games really turned me into a full-on gamer.
Gotcha.
Games I can play with my friends.
Yeah, I can definitely relate, especially with Battlefield 3. Battlefield 3, I was in college and we just started playing that game, and I was like, oh, we're doing things that I've never done before. You know, like, and I was definitely a gamer in middle school, but I didn't really know. And in high school, I knew because I was playing MAG, which is a first-person shooter on PlayStation 3. It had 256 players that could play at one time. It was supposed to be like, you know, groundbreaking, which it is groundbreaking even now, right?
Yeah, I'm sure it was.
Yeah, but like I was like, oh, this is different. And then like I went to college, and my friends from high school were still playing with me, and you know it was multiplayer. Multiplayer is what really kind of changed things for me.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. All right. Well, those are all the softball questions. It's time to jump into the meat and potatoes of the conversation, if you will. And so we've got some questions that are more around streaming and you as a content creator and what that looks like. You already answered my first question, actually, which was like, when did you start streaming and why? And you had mentioned that it was about 1.5 years ago, I believe. And really it was just because you were like kind of bored. COVID was out there. You were like, I might as well take the time to figure this out, right, and see if this makes sense. Are you happy that you did that?
Yeah, it's mixed feelings because I'm really happy I did that, but I'm also regretful that I didn't do it so much sooner. I'm like,
fair enough.
As soon as I started getting into the hang of things and the numbers were going up on TikTok and I was starting to have active chatters and I was starting to make money, not money, but like, you know, more money than I made when I was playing offline.
Right.
I was like, man, I wish I started this like early high school when I was gaming every night. I could have been I learned how to edit sooner, and yeah. But I would never go back to before streaming, and even if it never turns into a full-time gig, which, you know, fingers crossed, it would be amazing, be a dream job. But even if it never does, and I still have to go do, I'm majoring in business, and I should graduate next month. As long as everything, yes, thank you. But even if I have to work a business career for the rest of my life, I'm definitely planning on never stopping and always doing it on the side, at least like 3 streams a week, and trying to make content. And you know, because it's always like a lottery ticket too. You never know if your channel's going to blow up, and then all of a sudden you can make it full time. Who knows? But yeah,
I get that. Yeah, I mean, there is a lot of luck involved, right? And I totally feel you with the like, you know, for me, obviously, I started streaming like in college, but really into my work life. So I had not, you know, you're starting earlier than me in the sense that like when I thought I could actually do this like full time kind of thing, that was like you're in a really good position. So like even if you do have to start working and stuff, like, you know, look, if you can get some money, right, it just allows you to boost it even faster, and maybe spend less time on things that you don't really like to do during the streaming part, because you have the money for it and stuff. Exactly. Yeah. You know, it is what it is.
I thought about this. I'm like, hey man, maybe I'll graduate. I plan on going into sales, and I've heard there's decent money.
Oh, there's decent. I was in sales. That was my that was my second job, actually. My second job was in sales. And you can definitely make some bank. I mean, you can easily make over 6 figures in sales, depending on how good you are at it. Awesome. So, look, a side note, so sorry for anybody who's here. I'm just talking to Steve right now. Look, if you need any help with anything, you let me know. I've been working for a long time, so you let me know. Okay, let's move on from there. So, so you started streaming. You were like, this is great. I wish I had done it earlier. But how did you even like learn how to do it? Like what, you know, like I want you to like speak to the people who are like, yeah, I'm thinking about it, but I don't really know. Like, where did you learn to be a streamer and a content creator? Because I do think there is a you have a skill set that, and it is a skill set, right? Like, you learned it to do both. There are lots of people who are like, I see my favorite streamer and, you know, like, oh, Dream, I love Dream. I want to be a Minecraft streamer. They start streaming Minecraft. They have 0 followers. Nothing's happening. But you were like, well, I'm going to stream. I'm also going to make content, though, and I'm going to do the whole thing. Even when we were doing Roco Radio, it was like, okay, we're going to do it all. Like, where did you even learn how to do that?
I got a lot of help from one YouTuber, and that was Harris Heller.
Shout out Harris Heller, Alpha Gaming. Shout out Harris
Heller. Yeah. I've watched probably every single video he's ever made on streaming and content creation. That was a big kickstart. I can't remember if it was him that said it or a friend of mine. I can't remember, but the best tip I was ever given was, you'll never be ready, just go live. And I just, you know, it was like, no matter how crappy your stream may look, because you're going to be way harder on yourself than other people are, just go live. Because the worst that can happen is probably already what's going to happen. You're going to have no viewers the first few times, or even for the first month or two. But if you're going live, you're going to have no one in there, and you're going to be figuring out, okay, my, you know, all the weird stuff like bitrate, and you'll watch your VODs over. Yeah. I would always watch my VODs over the next day, and I'd be like, okay, I would like to tweak my camera angle. Okay, my audio is a little too quiet. Okay, it's a little blurry here. How do I fix that? Oh, my bitrate needs adjusted to 6,000 or whatever. You just got to, you're never going to be ready. Like, the first stream is going to have problems. Most likely, unless you're a genius and you're really good and you're just lucky, you're gonna have stuttering or drop frames or sound issues. Something's gonna go wrong the first few times. But it's just like, you know, it's like going to the gym or going to practice for a sport or studying. The more you do it, the better you're gonna get, no matter who you are. No matter if you're some grandma that's never used a smartphone and you want to go start streaming, you're still gonna get better. You just gotta do it. And that's the best tip I could give, from whether it was Harris Heller or a buddy of mine. I forget who said it. Yeah, just do it.
Yeah,
honestly,
there's a great one of my favorite YouTubers is MKBHD or Marquez Brownlee. He's you know, tech YouTuber. I'm like I feel really close to him because we grew up in the same place. He's black. He's my age. And that's like, awesome. Yeah, so I learned a lot from him, right? But he's not, I watch a ton of Harris Heller as well, because he does tutorials and like teaches us like what to do. Yeah. You know what I mean? But I remember watching a video from MKBHD, and he was like, he had shared someone else's video, and he was like, this is the best advice I've ever gotten. And the advice was, the greatest thing that you can realize is that when you look at whatever you've made and you say, this isn't what I want it to be, it means that you have great taste and you should keep going. Yeah. And that was like, I was like, oh shoot. Cause that's the difference. Cause, you know, if let's say you're in a sport, let's say you're, you know, in a game, let's say you're in like, you know, an art class, or you play an instrument or you sing, and you hear or you see what someone's doing and it's not good. And they're like, oh yeah, man, like I'm killing it. And you're like, you're really not? You know that person's not going to make it. And the reason is because they don't even know that it's not good. But when Steve, you're able to look at your VODs, which is something that people don't do, right? You look at your VODs or you look at your gameplay and you say, okay, I want this to change and I don't like this yet and I want to tweak that. That is the sign of a great creator, of a great streamer. And people say that for the same thing for, you know, pro athletes. You know, like pro athletes, pro gamers, they're like, oh yeah, well, I got to watch the VOD back. I got to look at how I played, because if I mean, the coaches look over those tapes. That's what they do, right? Games, that's all they do. Yeah. Exactly. So it's amazing that you did that, because that really does separate like incredible content creators, incredible streamers from, you know, people who are just kind of like doing it as a hobby, which is fine too, right? But it really does make a difference. It's a blast. Yeah, if you just want to do it as a hobby. I mean, technically, if we're being for real, it technically is a hobby for me, because it's not bringing in enough money that, I mean, I wouldn't even really say it's enough to say part-time, you know? It's just, but yeah, my goal is for it to not be a hobby. When I say a hobby, I guess I mean like not even as a hobby, but like as a pastime. You know, like I think for you, actually, I would separate it I would separate that from a pastime, which is something maybe you pick up and you just try, and a hobbyist, which is someone who, you know, puts money into it and puts time and puts energy and starts to master it, right? Like a hobbyist, like, you know, one of those people who, I don't know, like let's say you are a hobbyist train collector, right? You know, they put all this time, energy, and money into making model trains or Gundams, and they start making these like Gundams, and like it takes so much time, energy, and money, but because they have the taste, right?
Yeah, no, I'm definitely a hobbyist. I'm definitely, I'm sure I've put a little too much money.
Look at that crisp camera.
Yeah, like I got the DSLR, I got the Shure SM7B,
right?
And I'm definitely not making enough off streaming to even buy them. But I wanted to because,
yeah,
like you said, I'm always critiquing myself and trying to make it better, but regardless of the views, which I don't know if that's the right way to go about it, but. You know, I mean, there's a lot of people that say don't put money into it until it's making enough money for you to put it into it. But I was just, I don't know. I get too excited.
I think as a hobbyist, right, I think the coolest thing about right now, like 2021, 2020, 2019, the greatest thing about right now is that you can make a living off of your hobby. You couldn't do that a decade ago. You couldn't, you know, like you couldn't, you know, play with trains or do makeup or style hair and make it like a living if it was a hobby. You had to go take a profession. But right now, you could do whatever you want, and as long as you can make good content around it, people will look at it, and then the money will come, which was not the truth. People said that, you'll never work a day in your life, but that wasn't true a decade ago. But now it is. Now it literally is, which is kind of crazy. So
yeah. Well, and you brought something good there with the whole content. I would say another great tip, if you're streaming just for fun or just to be a hobby, do whatever you want. But if you do want it to possibly become either a part-time gig or a full-time gig, unless you're super duper lucky, you have, especially nowadays that Twitch is like really popular. A lot of people, especially with just like a lot of people were like me, and in quarantine, they started streaming. There was a huge boost in the amount of streamers during quarantine. If you want to ever make it, you need to make content. You need to. If you don't make content, do not expect growth. If you're just doing it for fun and editing and all that stuff bores you and doesn't interest you, don't bother. Just play video games, and maybe you'll have family in the chat, or maybe you will grow a little following in a niche game or something, and that's fine too. But if you want to make money to live off of doing this, you have to make content. You just have to. And I haven't been making content for the past couple months, not nearly as much as I should. And I do blame myself for that. I know that has hindered how much I could have grown in these past couple months. A lot of it has to do with what I talked about earlier with I'm in a real big drought and I just can't think of what to make. But that's another big tip. Start and make content if you want it to be a job one day. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a lot of ways to do that too, right? I think right now, like, you know, you can start off as a streamer and you can just straight up stream, and you can start with clips. You can start with montages. You know, there's lots of ways to make, and when we say content, we're talking about like video content, right? Like we're talking about something that exists outside.
You could do a podcast,
right? You could do a podcast.
You tried that.
That you could. That's all. That I think that's the cool thing is like you don't have to do like. You don't have to make like a tips and tricks video, right?
No,
that
you're not being a nerd like me.
Yeah. Right, like I did build videos and then I would stream the build. You don't have to do that. You can just be like, I love Fortnite. I play Fortnite, and then you post great Fortnite games. You know, it's still going to be better than just streaming Fortnite.
Yeah, and I will say, when it comes down to making content, the educational content will do better in the beginning. That's why I'm doing it.
For sure.
Because before people know who you are, now people do blow up off clips, especially if you're really good or really funny. Yeah. You could blow up off a clip.
That's true.
But I think for majority of people, if you're wanting to grow, you got to give people a reason to watch you without knowing you. You know, people watch Tim the Tatman no matter what because they already know him and love his personality. But you're a stranger. I'm a stranger to most people that come to the stream. I have to have content. And I go with educational because I'm like, okay, they'll get the benefit out of learning how to play Siege better. And they'll be like, okay, I want to go watch this guy to learn and watch him play in silver lobbies because he's not that great at the game. He just knows a lot. And and then I try to hook them in the stream. I get them with the content. They come to the stream, and I try to hook them with my personality and hope they stay along. And some don't, and some do, but yeah, that's gonna be with everything.
Right. There's a conversion rate, and it's better to have a conversion rate than to have 0.
Yeah.
Right. Great.
And be buried at the bottom of a Twitch page. Yeah.
Exactly. That's the other thing too, right? Is like Twitch doesn't have, and I know you know this because Harris says this all the time. Twitch doesn't have a way for you to be found, right? There is no way outside of shortly being paid. Like you can pay to be found, but outside of that, there is
all in on that,
right? But there is no way otherwise, right? You have to. The only way to be found on Twitch is for someone to scroll and just randomly click on your name, right? Which means
most likely will never happen.
Exactly. The only thing that's possible that has happened to me, that I can recall, like outside of Blacklight, because I was one of like 5 people streaming Blacklight. Was Rogue Company and Slay the Spire. And the reason being is because most people have not heard of those games. Nope. So when I say Slay the Spire, you know there's somebody crawling Twitch looking just looking for a Slay the Spire stream because there's not that many of us. And then that's the same thing for Rogue Company, is that we did get Rogue Company viewers that just randomly popped in because there was really nobody else streaming it, right? It's starting to get a little bit bigger.
That's a great way to start too. Off a niche game like that.
Yeah, definitely. And that's another thing too, right? Is like if there's a game that you love, just stream it and like start like own that space if you really love it. I think if you don't really love it, you get into kind of a situation that Steve has mentioned being in, which is like you start to hit a drought and you're like, man, I just can't figure out exactly what to do. But I wanted to move on to kind of another topic. And of course it feeds into everything we've been talking about, which is like the part-time thing, right? So you're a streamer, you're a content creator, and when I say you do it part-time, I don't mean like, you get paid hourly, you get wages or whatever. I'm talking about like you have a whole nother life to deal with, right? And you've already mentioned it. You're in college, you're about to graduate, congrats. So you're about to graduate in college, you've got a family life, you've got friends. How do you... Right.
I'm paying for half of this house. I got dogs. It's like all these things you gotta keep track of. Yeah.
How do you do all of that? Like how do you how do you manage all of those different pieces?
Well, for the past few months it's been a lot easier because I haven't been working. Because I had a temp job and that ended, and then I discussed it over with my girlfriend. I was like, hey, look, I really just want to, I'm going to graduate this semester, and I was kind of struggling keeping up with my homework while I was working and streaming and hanging out with her and hanging out with family. It was crazy.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, let me just, I have enough money put away. I'm just going to stream and focus on school until next month. So I'm going to go back to work and soon. So it's been a lot easier to manage all those things, but it's still really hard to juggle all of them at once.
Sure.
And once I go back to work, I won't have college anymore, so it should be not as bad as it was before, but it was hard. And there were times where I was invited out, my friends and family, to do something, and I was like, sorry, it's a stream night. And then, I would stream, and the stream wouldn't do well at all, and I was like, oh, I should have just went. But you gotta be consistent. It's all these things that I'm constantly having mental battles with myself. Like, should I change the schedule so I can do this more? Or should I do less of that so I could stream more? Should I make content more than I stream? All this stuff that you gotta figure out, and it's gonna be different per person. It depends on what content you make, if you're even making content, how often you want to stream, if you want it to be a hobby or a job. But it definitely, there's a lot of sacrifices they don't tell you about, and I'm not trying to sound like it's awful. I'm a streamer and I have a place and my life's just awful. But you definitely have to sacrifice some stuff that you might have enjoyed doing if you want to do this as well, especially if you're doing it seriously.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta give you like huge props, because I think you said something that I think a lot of people don't, or they take for granted, which is like, you had a conversation, with your girlfriend, for example, right? About like, hey, like this is kind of what I'm currently looking at and what I'm trying to do. You're consistent. You tell your family and friends like, hey, look, it's a stream night, and like I really want to stay consistent with this. And I think for a lot of people, like they don't even take that first step, right? where it's like, hey, this is something I want to try, something I want to do. And another thing that you're obviously not taking for granted is like you were able to find that space to do a little bit more streaming than work, at least for a little bit. And look, if you guys, viewers out there right now, right, are thinking about streaming and, let's say you're in between college or you're in between jobs or, look, I know COVID's been really hard on a lot of people. So maybe you just don't have work right now or you're still looking for work. If you've thought about streaming, now is the time to do it. And I'm not saying that you're fortunate that you don't have a job or whatever it might be, because that's a whole different circumstance. But if you have the time, energy, and space to be able to stream, then this might be the time, because otherwise that time might leave you all of a sudden. And I have to give you huge props, Steve, for like doing everything that you do. Again, like college, family, the house, the dogs, like I know how hard all that is. And growing at the rate you're
At least
growing.
I don't have kids, though, right?
Hey, fair enough.
It'd be a lot harder. Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah, I think when kids come into the story, it's like, you really have to start. It's really actually one of my favorite streamers. She Snaps. She's like a professional, content creator and streamer. And she is like she just had a kid, and like it's interesting to see how she's dealing with managing having a child and doing the stream. Which I think she's already big, so she'll tweet at the fan base and be like, hey, like my kid's crying, I'll be late, and people gobble that up as content itself, which is kind of crazy when you think about it.
Yeah.
So
turning your life into content is a really good cheat code.
Yeah, that's the truth. Yeah,
I haven't figured that out yet, but yeah, it's
definitely hard, right? I think there's definitely like first of all, you have to be willing to like bear more of yourself to your community. Which I think is kind of hard, and I think it's also harder to make content that's personal if there's not many people watching, because you feel like, is it really worth me putting myself out there if like no one's even like paying attention? So I've been down that road. I'm sure some people remember on my channel, who have seen my content where I'll talk about something maybe like weight loss or moving, or hey, here's like a couple recipes I'm trying out, and like the recipe ones are fun, so people will like jump on it. But if I'm talking about something like a current event or something, sometimes I don't get the kind of feedback that I'm looking for, or nobody watches it, and it can be hard. But I think the bigger the audience that you get, the more connected you get with people. Again, I think there's a point where it gets too big, but even if you're getting like 10 or 8 people constantly, and they start, you know who they are, they know who you are. Personal content is definitely a good way to like just keep the content rolling. I think for sure. So I gotta ask you, you're going through college, you're about to graduate. What's next, man? What's next? I know you talked about looking for, you're probably thinking about getting a job maybe in sales. Is that the route you think you're gonna go? Is let me get some money, and I'll keep streaming, or what are your thoughts?
Yeah. So I'm probably gonna start applying in December. And I'm going to be doing sales since I'm going to be doing entry, an entry job in sales, because I have no, other than doing some customer service in the past, I don't really have any experience. So I'm sure I have to get an entry level job. I'm hoping one of the few pros of the whole COVID pandemic and everyone getting quarantine stuff is a lot of jobs have just gone fully remote.
Right.
And it makes it a lot easier if you work from home, which I did at like my temp job that I had earlier this year. I worked from home, and it makes it a lot easier to do your job. And then, during your lunch break or whatever, you can work on content and you're right there at your desk already. And so I'm hoping I can get maybe a job like that, because I did notice that it was a lot easier to keep up with the streaming and the content working from home. Because all the stuff you need to edit and everything is right here.
Yeah.
So I plan on just getting a job, hopefully making some good money. I am hoping I didn't spend all that money on a degree to make bad money, and using that good money towards not only, I know my girlfriend's wanting to move into a bigger house at some point, and at some point we're gonna be married and have that kid, and that's gonna cost money,
right? Of course.
But I'm hoping I can make money to put towards the stream, and if I can make enough, hire an editor, because I would get a lot more content out if I didn't have to edit, because I hate editing. I love the end of editing. Once you finish and you're proud of it, it's a great feeling. But during is grueling. that's kind of why I started doing a lot of TikToks, because I only have to make minute-long edits. I can get them done a lot faster and get the same information out that I might have made a 10-minute video, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, just working full-time and doing this on the side, and, you know, clocking in that lottery ticket every week, hoping that one day I'll get my audience and be able to do it full-time.
Yeah, totally understand. Totally understand. Well, that sounds good. I'll be there for it. I'm excited to see where you go from here and where you continue to grow to. I've got one more topic for you, which is really about the growth aspect. So, you know, we talked about how you stream and make content and how you manage, you know, your part-time kind of life, you know, how it's segmented. But I wanted to talk to you about growth and goals. So is that something that you even take into account when you're, you know, thinking about, you know, your stream and your content? Are you like, okay, I want to make sure I hit this amount of, you know, subs or views or whatever? Do you do that approach? If so, we can talk more about it. If not, you know, what's the reasoning there?
I try to steer away from numbers goals.
Okay.
Because I've come to realize, I used to, but especially when I was trying to hit that affiliate, and especially when I was trying to hit a certain amount of subs to get all the
affiliate grind.
Slots. Oh yeah.
I feel you.
Yeah. You know,
partner grind.
Totally. Oh, yeah. I'm still on that one. Yeah.
Insane.
Yeah, I remember the affiliate grind. You know, you had that second PC and your sister on it, your mom on it, you know, all that stuff.
Right.
But you know, get those little cheat codes with your family members watching you.
Right.
But yeah, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, numbers. So I used to, but I've come to realize that number goals, like this many followers or this many subs on YouTube, or you know, any type of number goal like that, it's up to people outside of you. Like, people have to sub, people have to follow. When you set a number goal, it doesn't matter if you make amazing content and you are working your ass off and you are doing everything in your power to give your audience good videos and good streams. It still is up to them to click those buttons. So if you set those number goals and you're like, oh, I want to hit 1,000 followers on Twitch in 3 months, and then 3 months comes by and you've done everything correctly and to the best of your ability, and you don't hit that number, you shouldn't see that as a failure. And a lot of people do, because they just made up a goal in their mind and they're like, I should have hit it and I must have messed up. And you could have done nothing wrong. It just wasn't that moment for people to be finding you, and the algorithm didn't treat you as well as it maybe should have, and you just got to keep going. So I wouldn't make number goals. I did in the beginning and I regret it. And it made me unmotivated some weeks. Some weeks I wouldn't post content because it was unmotivating. I mean, I just had a really bad scenario the past couple weeks. The first week I took a week off because I went to Florida, and then I got back and one of my grades were slipping in one of my classes. So I was like, okay, I need to focus on this. Is a priority. I need to graduate. So I took another week off. So that was 2 weeks off from Twitch. And I came back and there was like half the subs were gone because they maybe thought I was gone, or I don't know. They might have just not renewed yet. Who knows? But I got very discouraged, and it made me very choppy and sloppy with my streaming that following week.
Yeah.
And very unmotivated and very kind of down on stream. And at one point I was like, hey man, you're doing that thing where you care about the numbers too much and it's making your content suffer. You know, if you're going to be streaming and you're not going to be very talkative or excited like you usually are because you're down about your numbers and about having to take 2 weeks off, why would they come back if they come back and you're this, oh, my subs went down? You know, you just got to keep going. So yeah, I still struggle with it even today, but I definitely try to not make goals like that. No, you could make a goal like, I want to post this often per week. I want to be this consistent with my YouTube and my TikTok, which I have not been consistent with those. But you should set goals like that, because though you need to set goals that are in your own control. Yeah. So that'd be the best goals to set, I think.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you said that, because I think that is like the key. I definitely remember like I was really obsessed with the number of, like, you know, classic numbers, sub count, views,
Concurrent, yeah.
And a lot of that, I think you can only really start doing at a particular level, right? I think once you are starting to do things and it's like a production, you can take a look at the analytics and say, well, this view, you know, you got less views here, more views there. Maybe I should tweak the thumbnail a little bit. But when you're just starting, I think the goals, and even right now, I think for you and me, the goals are more on the, I want to make 3 videos in the next 3 weeks, and I want to make sure that the thumbnails have this quality to them, and I want to make sure that they're X, you know, amount long, and I want to make sure that I stream X amount of times and I get X clips from them. Those are incredible goals because they are great. They're right in your, they're in your like control, like you said, right? And I think it also lets you focus on that thing that we were mentioning earlier, which is like your taste. Like you have, if you're looking at something and you're saying, I don't like this or it could be better, you have great taste, and spend the beginning just getting better and better and better and better at what you do, because the second you get that first viewer or your second viewer, or you get a kind of a wave hits and they start taking a look at your stuff on TikTok or whatever it might be, the better that it is, the better that content is because you've been practicing it, the more ready you are. Right?
Yeah, that's huge too.
To hit that wave.
Yeah, because I remember I got really lucky. It's still surreal to me that this even happened. But do you know who Bolo is? You don't play Siege, so you might not.
No, I do not.
He's a pro player. He actually was a big content creator at first, and then he went pro. He's probably in the top 5 biggest names in Siege, right? I would say so. I'm pretty sure no one would disagree on that. And he rated me. Back in, I know. He rated me back in February, and I can't remember how many, but it was several thousand viewers. It was insane, right? And one regret I have was back when he did that. That was before I started making the TikToks and the YouTube videos, and I didn't have that backlog of content for them to find. So I think a lot of them might have stuck around. They're like, oh, he's got this TikTok. Oh, wow, these are all really good videos. Oh, this guy's funny. He's entertaining. I'm going to keep watching him. But most of them, it was like a one-night party, you know? And I've even had some people, you know, in the past weeks come in and be like, I'm from the Bolo raid. That's always awesome. And I have some people that are regulars that were from that raid.
Awesome.
But what, you know, the ratio of several thousand people to like 10.
That conversion there.
And there might have been a better conversion if I had that backlog. So yes, when you're, you know, first starting out, even though no one's watching you, and even though your videos aren't getting any views because the algorithm may not like you yet or whatever it might be, those videos are going to help you, because one day you're going to be discovered. You're going to get blow up off one video. And if you don't have a lot of other videos that they like, they're not going to subscribe. They're going to be like, oh, it's a one-off. You know, oh, it was a good video. I'm not going to subscribe. They'll subscribe, though, if you have 3 videos there that they enjoy, you know. You really want to make that backlog no matter what your views are.
Yeah, what is it? Luck is opportunity meets preparedness, right? And I think if you're prepared and you've got, you know, you're always on, and you know you're being yourself, and you've got the content, and you've been practicing, you're gonna get hit with a raid, or you know someone or one person might join, and you're gonna be ready, because that was luck. I trust me. This random person jumped into your stream, no matter what the reason was. That's luck, but it's only lucky if you were prepared for it. So great advice there, Steve.
You know, you'll have 1 or 2 viewers hop in and while I'm playing Siege, and they might have left right away, but I saw they'd say something in chat. I'd be like, hey, by the way, I have this TikTok if you want to check it out. I have lots of tips and tricks on this game. And they'd be like, okay, 1 sec. And they'd come back. They'd be like, that's awesome. And then a follow alert would come up.
There you go.
They followed me. Or even a sub sometimes, you know. And would they have followed or subbed without it? I have no way of knowing. I can't go back in time and not show them the TikTok and see what they do.
Right.
But I feel like it probably increased my odds at least a little bit on them sticking around. So yeah, you want to make that content, like I said.
Right. Awesome. Well, Steve, thank you so much. We had a lot of conversation here with many different topics. Obviously, we started off with some of those topics, learning about you being a gamer generally, right? As a baby, had that Dreamcast in the hand. I love it. And again, you started streaming just 1.5 years ago. I love where you're at right now. I cannot wait to see where you go. Of course, I'm always going to be watching, excited to see all the next stuff that you have going on. You're on TikTok. You're on YouTube. I'm assuming you have a Twitter and stuff too, right?
I do have a Twitter, but I don't know how to tweet.
Well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to make sure that every single link that you have is going to be in the description down below. So make sure you guys are checking the description. That way you know where to find Steve. Of course, you'll find my information there as well, ChaingearGaming. But before I let you go, Steve, I did want to ask you a couple rapid fire questions.
Oh, shit. Okay.
So be ready. Be ready. They're going to be a little spicy, and I'll give you a little bit of time if you got to think about it a little bit. But rapid fire questions, and then we're going to go ahead and end the video here. So first question: Call of Duty or Battlefield?
Green.
Oh,
okay. I thought you were going to say favorite color. What'd you ask me?
Call of Duty or Battlefield?
Battlefield.
Okay, Battlefield. Fortnite or Apex?
Fortnite was amazing in its beginning. But now Apex.
Okay, Apex. Top 3 cereals.
Top 3 cereals? Mm-hmm. Fruity Pebbles, Frosted Flakes, and Honey Bunch of Oats.
Okay. I like all 3 of those. That's a good one. Top burger spot.
Burger spot? I don't know many, but my favorite right now is Red Robin, probably.
Okay, all right. That's fair. Best console of all time.
Okay, that's going to be a thinker. Best console of all time. See, I feel like there's a nostalgic answer, and then there's
that's okay. Hey, that's all right.
Answer. Best console of all time.
This is personal.
Yeah, I feel like I have the most memories on the 360.
Okay, that is a great choice. Yeah. I think that is the pinnacle, or not the pinnacle. That is the beginning of online gaming at its best, I think.
Yeah, and that's still probably the peak of Xbox. I don't think Xbox One or Xbox One X has still came back to those glory days.
That's the truth. That's the truth.
Yeah, I went from I was a big Xbox guy from Xbox and Xbox 360, and then ever since I've been a Sony guy with PS4. And
hey, me too.
I'm gonna be getting a PS5.
I got the PS5. I can't wait for you to join me.
Lucky. I don't know
Last question, Steve. Last question.
Yeah.
Best game of all time.
Oh, okay.
You know I had to ask it.
Yeah. You know, it's gonna have to be a multiplayer game.
That's right.
That's what I play the most.
Roku? No, I was kidding.
Yeah, Roku. Yeah, for sure. It's hard because I love shooters.
Yeah.
But if it came down to like a game I could play every day and just have a blast with friends and laugh, and all the things I love about multiplayer video games, GTA 5.
Wow. I did not expect that, but a great choice. Excellent campaign. And of course, you got to have fun in GTA Online. So, wow.
Yeah.
Great choice. Did not expect that at all. Did not
People
expect
are telling
that at
me
all.
People have been begging me to roleplay. They think that's my alley because I can be pretty
I can
good
see
at
that.
improv and stuff, but I don't know how to get started. You know, I don't know what character.
Just go live, right? Just go live.
Yeah, just go live. You're right. You're right.
Awesome. Well, Steve, thank you so much. I really appreciate you being here for the interview.
No problem.
Again, SteveTheChimp on Twitch. Find him on. I would say Twitch is like your #1, and then I would say TikTok, right?
Yeah, TikTok's what I focus on most.
Yeah.
When it comes to content.
I see your shorts on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yep.
Both are very dried up right now.
Hey, that's all right. That's all right.
Siege, and then like for the month or two, it's nothing. But I'm coming back.
But take a look
with this hazard zone, and we're gonna see how it goes.
Right. So take a look, guys. He's actually right now. We're actually recording this on November 10th. So on November 12th, I believe, Steve, you're going to be streaming.
I might do a very long stream too.
Okay, so Steve's
I might
gonna
go
be
live at noon and stay on till like 10.
Okay, I'll probably be there at least for a little bit of it. I've definitely got a lot of work to do, but I'll probably be there. So I will see you and hopefully some other folks. I will try and get this out ASAP. That way people know that on Friday they can see November 12th. And maybe you guys can get on his YouTube, get onto his TikTok. That way you guys can see some follow-up content on Battlefield as well. But Steve, thank you so much. And to everybody that's watching this video, of course, make sure you share it. Let us know what you think in the comment section down below. I will see you guys all online. And of course, I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.